Hi, Tina.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome to the BENSBOSS podcast.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Tina Joy. I'm private yoga instructor, wellness coach, and certified nutritionist based in New York City.
Yes.
Friends
Check,
with
check,
Sam for
check.
the past
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah. Isn't
Sam,
it
you're the
crazy?
best. I'm so happy to be here.
It's so cool because we talked about doing this a few times and now we're finally doing it.
Yeah, I was really excited when you started your podcast because I also want to begin my podcast. I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been focusing on the yoga nutritionist, and yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's just like a lot of anxiety around it, but it's finally, built up, and excited.
Do you know what you want your podcast to be about?
Yeah, the podcast will be something along the lines of kind of similar to what's the girl, the Emma Chamberlain, but like she talks about just like, I don't know, random topics. I would be more motivational, and I
Okay.
have a ton of stories I read over the pandemic that were inspiring that I kind of gathered into a whole note, and I would just motivational, inspiring things, kind of in line with the whole mega mantras ideal that I have going on with the Medium publication, and it goes off of the yoga nutritionist with yoga, wellness, all
Yeah.
nutrition. So
When I got back on TikTok recently, I was going through your videos and I noticed you started doing a lot of like different motivational clips and stuff.
yeah,
Like, this is so cool.
yeah, I started kind of posting about things like, life experiences, things that I've gone through, not necessarily like touching on details of my own experience because I haven't gotten there yet, but being a creator and seeing you and me kind of doing this journey of like, starting our own businesses and
Yeah.
really going all in on our passions, it really kind of makes you think like, it's at first it seems so easy like looking on the outside, but then when you're actually doing it, like it really takes a level of self growth and really knowing who you are and what you want to pursue and believing in yourself to really go ahead and post these types of videos because they're not always easy to. I have a lot of anxiety before doing a YouTube video, but I will get back to sitting down like this more.
And I
Yeah.
do think the more that you do it, the more you get a little bit,
Yeah, the more you get,
you
like,
know?
accustomed to
Yeah.
just, like, it kinda you get over that, and also, if you take a break in between, kind of like ho I have over the past month, I took a little break, I paused with the
Yeah.
motivational ones, but when I was doing them, like, more on a daily basis, then, it wasn't so difficult, but when I kinda stopped and I'm going back into it now, it becomes it's like, you kind of get those, like, nerves, they pop up again, so
Yeah.
yoga has helped me, and just kinda tuning in with myself because, if you don't really sit down with yourself, then you can't really be there for anyone else. So,
Another thing I thought was cool, because you had just mentioned, we both started our own
yeah,
business,
congratulations. You have
we're
like three of
there.
them. You have,
Yeah.
yeah,
But I thought you mentioned a few days ago to me that you are the first person in your family to kind of not
do
take
like
the
this
so
creative,
like traditional
yeah,
route with your career and stuff. And I just wanted to say before we like jump into other things, I thought it was so cool that you might hear these horror stories about how like you try and do something you want to do, you try and follow your passion and your family's just like not supportive. But I thought it
yeah,
was so cool that when Kate and I went to your yoga in Central Park, that your dad and your sister were there.
yeah.
I was
No,
like,
they
this
definitely
is
have
so
always
cool
been.
that yeah, her
My
family
entire
totally
the family has
supporting.
always been really supportive of everything that I've taken on and pursued. They haven't always been, able to support. I have to always, I've always had to work on my own to be able
Yeah.
to fulfill doing this. So it was simultaneously like, working. They have their own things going on, so they can't like maybe financially always be there. And I don't expect them to because hello, I'm gonna be 30 next year. But
Yeah.
I've it's been an extra burden taken on, like, doing something that you really love and enjoy while working. We were just talking about this before we started, but like just having a life outside of your own company and building your brand, it's you don't really get much sleep, so you really have to believe and love what you're doing in order to keep pursuing it. Yeah, my dad's great. He loves my dog. Mateo, I got him during the pandemic. He's a pandemic baby, and he's there in Central Park, and I was so happy to see you and Kate there because it
Yeah,
really
I'm
made that first
definitely
class was really the best for me because it was everyone that I loved and I was like near and dear to me that just showed up, and it really made me like it solidified that I'm going in the right direction, and I got a lot of great feedback. And my friend Antonio that you met there, he even said that like, oh, it's not easy doing this ting. He called it ting
Yeah.
ting. And it's true, like it's not easy either. You have a lot going on, you're always posting every day. I really need to be more on top of posting daily, but I think it's so great that you
No, I have taken breaks too, though, like you mentioned.
it was hard for me. I didn't get to posting because I had technical like difficulty like, on my laptop, and then I wouldn't like load onto YouTube because I'm doing a whole this week. I'm doing a full out yoga sequence. So I'm going to post on YouTube. Only the second one I'm going to be posting a full sequence. So it took a little longer to upload, and then there was an issue with it. So I have to go
Well,
back
I
and.
actually love doing yoga in my living room
Oh
from
yeah, that's what
watching
I do.
YouTube.
Me
So you'll
too.
have to send me your links when they're done so I
Oh,
can
for
use them
sure.
here.
Eventually, like in the next month or so, I'll have like a subscription thing on my website too. So I'll
Oh,
have that
that's
up and running so
perfect.
that I can have like
You can do like
follower.
little teasers on YouTube and then the
Oh
full thing
yeah.
like, on your own subscription. But that's so cool. That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
it'll be really exciting because at that point I'll have more so daily practices that people can join in on. And I also have this meetup. I'll start doing the virtual classes in a week or two. So you can link the meetup, I think, later on for the yoga, wellness,
Yeah.
nutrition. If you're based in New York City, like we'll be doing
Yeah.
more over the summertime. The summer Sundays, they start on Memorial Day weekend and end on Labor Day. So in
Okay, well,
Central
I'm
Park.
coming because honestly, that day that we went to yoga in the park, that
Mhm.
was such a good, I know
It
it
was
sounds
really
like
fun.
I felt like I was like a classic New Yorker that day because we went up to the Upper East Side and we got like
Mhm.
coffee at a cafe, and then we went to the park and did your yoga class like at
Yeah.
Central Park, and then we rode bikes home. Like it was like the nicest
Oh wow,
day.
you were super active. I was so happy to hear
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So
It's so good.
it was totally like anyone who ends up watching this or listening to this podcast and lives in the city, like definitely needs to take one of your yoga classes because that was so cool.
It
It
was
was
really,
such
yeah.
a
I try to keep them more like anyone can join beginner. You guys, it was your first class, I think it was
yeah.
a beginner to moderate. So you do have a pretty intense workout, and you do feel it like a day or two after. But anyone, I'm so excited to start them again because it really is. It's going to be a thing every year. Those will be free classes because I started at like going to contribution and donation based classes when I was like 20 years old, and
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
turn 29 in 2 weeks. So I started with that because I didn't have any, I didn't have money to spend for like a $40 soul cycle class. That really kind of branded, kind of like helped me. When my first job out of college was I was in finance, so it's still kind of stressful, and it helped to kind of.
Wait, yeah, let's talk about that. So I met you, we've been friends, and I met you in the nightlife industry, but
Yeah.
before that, out of college, I remember you mentioned once like you were in finance. So how did
Oh my
let's
gosh.
let's go
So
over this. How did this happen?
uh,
Finance, nightlife, yoga.
I was first of all like as soon as I never had a fake ID. I grew up in New York City. I never had a fake ID, but I didn't even we didn't really try to go to clubs, but as soon as I turned 21, I was out at all the clubs. I didn't miss. I remember my 21st birthday, we were at Riff Raff, and that was a club that I don't know what it is now, but they always keep changing names. There's
Yeah.
Tao, Lava, and I remember going to some of these clubs and I was thinking, I want to be like one of these girls, like working here. This seems like so much
Yeah.
fun. They're doing the sparklers.
I
Then
mean,
I
that's
ended
what
up
I
doing.
did. That's why I lived in Vegas for 5 years. That's why I went and moved there.
I was just like, this is so much fun.
Hmm.
And when I was started to go like out a lot more, I was like, well, went to Pace, graduated Pace University, and I didn't really have too much internship experience. I had one internship, and it
What did
was
you graduate? You said marketing?
marketing.
Okay.
Marketing. So I chose marketing because that was like the seemed like the most like people you could get to go out and meet people, like more fun business major.
Yeah.
Everything else was like accounting and finance. I was like definitely not majoring in that. And then I ended up working in finance my first job out of college. But yeah, I realized finance isn't just all math. So my
Yeah.
first like job, I was interviewing. I graduated in May 2016. I started interviewing. I got my resume got together. The first internship the only internship that I really had was I was mentoring autistic children for the AHRC out in Bay Ridge in Brooklyn. So that was something that initially, up until I was a senior in high school, I always wanted to be a teacher. So
Oh,
first
wow,
I
okay.
and then I ended up into business. You never know where life will take you. I ended up
Yeah,
majoring in
honestly.
business. The only internship I had, I went back to my roots, what I loved. I always wanted to be like teach kids, especially like um little kids, like kindergarten, like so I could kind of have an impact on them. And mentoring, this mentorship program was really fun and great because it was meaningful to me,
Yeah.
and it was really like eye opening, and just it was, having kids, especially kids that are autistic. At the he was in high school, the student that I was mentoring, he was one of three. They were triplets, and
Oh, wow.
seeing his meeting his mom, like at the end, I was just like, wow, this is really difficult. Like it's hard to, you know, have kids, and you don't know what's going to happen. But she was there for the presentations, all the stuff we did. That was really, it was so like heartwarming and fun.
Yeah.
I had a really great time doing that, and then I just started interviewing at places, and I was for a financial firm, and I got hired as a financial advisor. And yeah, I was one of the only. There were like five women there, and only two of the girls, I was one of them, were hired as a new rep. Everyone else was like male, as a male-dominated industry,
Wow.
and the other three women that were there were senior advisors. I did it for about a year, and I realized quickly that I'm able to, bring clients on to, you're a hired independent contractor. Sales is one of those things that's like a lot of people hate doing, but I didn't even realize I was doing it, I guess. I just realized I thought this was my job. We have like these 3 days a week we're in the office doing meetings. The rest of the time, 2 days a week we're out, prospecting, going out, meeting people. And I was just like, it was, easy for me. I liked doing that. I liked being face to face with people.
Yeah.
And that's why I liked being out. I met a lot of people being out nightlife. And then I realized, okay, like I met this girl being out. It was like a Tao. And she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" I was telling her, "Oh, like, why don't you just like do this?" Like he was like, "I do this," I was just like, "Oh, I mean, I guess I could," but I never really thought about it. I never really thought. I never like everything was always like, school. Like you have to be good in school. Like the rest of my family, like that started their own business, and they
Yeah.
were like lawyers, account, that kind of thing. And I was just like, well, I don't know. It didn't dawn on me until she was like, just like, this is great work, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I didn't think I could, so I did that for about like 2 years, and I realized, yeah, it's fun. It's, you just don't get much sleep because you're not really with the everyday like world. You like by the time you get
Oh,
home,
you're
it's
a night
already the
owl.
morning, and you
Like,
can't really do
you're
much.
yeah, like, when people are waking up to go to work, you're just getting home from work.
Yeah, so
Completely
I realized it's
opposite.
not really
It's
sustainable.
hard on the body too, because your body's
Oh my
not used
gosh,
to it.
yeah. You're like standing and you're, oh my god, all night you're standing, you're running around back and forth, and it's just like it's a lot going on. You have to be
Yeah.
like alert and on. But
Yeah.
yeah. Whoever's watching this, you never know where life will take you. And yeah, while I was doing the finance, I got into yoga. I would do yoga classes before I go into work, and then I realized I have a real like I really want to do this. This is what I wish I was the yoga teacher instead of doing the. And then one
Yeah.
thing led to the next, and that before you know it, like pandemic made me kind of reflect on a lot of things. I was always passionate, health and wellness, very mindful of what I would eat when I was younger, and college kind of was not so mindful, but as you get older, you realize, hey, your body isn't taking the same amount of foods that you're eating the same way, and it's
Yeah.
affecting you a little more. But yeah, that's kind of why I started the yoga nutritionist, and I wanted to blend all those three values I had: health, wellness, nutrition, like yoga, wellness, and nutrition. So
I That's just so cool that you would do yoga, like, when you could, and you
yeah,
did it, like, while you were trying to do, like, the standard what the norm is in society, like, get a good job and, a
yeah,
good
I followed
career.
all the rules, and I realized
Yeah, but then you realize, like, "Wait, I like
this
yoga
isn't
better."
really. There's a
Yeah.
lot more out there that you can do if like you just open up your mind. And it's hard because I feel like, especially being like millennial, like Gen Z is a little bit different because my cousin, she's Gen Z, and TikTok and all that is like, her wave. And I was just like, wow, she is like growing up in a time where it's just like you can easily have your own online business easy, like, and for them it's like nothing. They just easily can figure out like, okay, I'm going to sell these like bathing suits, I'll sell this and just put it on. But for us it was just like everything, we came from a time where everything had to be so perfect. I grew up with like Carly Bell the makeup. You could not post a YouTube video unless it was like perfect face and makeup. Like I don't really wear makeup often, but I, for this podcast, of course. And it's just like you have that ingrained in you that everything you post has to be like perfection. So it's kind of like, well, they're just posting whatever, and it's like kind of shedding that, like a snake shedding that skin. Like in yoga, they say it's like a shedding of everything. You're turning into a whole new person. Like,
Yeah, and another thing too that I think I don't have any younger, like, siblings or cut like Gen Z, I
yeah,
so I'm just familiar with them based off of what I see online, but
yeah,
I think what's different for our generation too is that the kids now and going forward, it's very like, yes, get an education and have a good career, but like follow your passion, like do what makes you
yeah,
happy. But when we were, going through high school and
yeah.
stuff, it was very get an education, get a degree, get a good like corporate 9 to 5
It's
job.
just so ingrained in you. It's just like, they
Yeah.
really try to like hammer that home, that point where it's like, especially inside, like you have to do all these things. And if you don't, if you like kind of like divert from like the the norm, it's just like you're looked at like, are you okay? Like, do you need some help? It's like,
Yeah,
no, no, I'm good. If you're creative, it's kind of looked down upon. Like when you actually, I was talking to my mom the other day, like that the first thing to get cut in public schools is always the art programs, like art and music. And like how crazy is that, that like they want to just cut all this creative part out of you just to make you think that like this is the only way, just do school and like essays and don't sleep, final projects.
yeah.
The ones that are really out here doing their own business and pursuing what they love, yeah, it's difficult. It's always going to be difficult at first, but everything is difficult at first. So when you look at it like that, it's just a change of your perception and like your perspective. And yoga helped me kind of slow down. I'm still like so like all over the place, but yeah, I remember when I first started high school, I was like, I would eat my words, I wouldn't enunciate my words. I'm still kind of like that, but I speak so fast. And it's so hard for me. I have to kind of like bring it in. People used to say you have to really tune
Just
into
be
her to
you.
listen.
Just talk however fast you want to talk. Education is obviously important, but for creatives, like what I wasn't raised and told like to find my passion. So,
Yeah, no.
I mean, I went to college for speech and hearing science. Like I was going to be a speech
Speak the,
pathologist. And
yeah.
I only did that because my doctor, my pediatrician told me back when I was younger that that was like a good job to have. But I
You
didn't want
see,
it
and it's
that way.
like we're
Like,
so like impressionable as kids. Like we absorb everything and we remember things. Like it's like you're a sponge. You're a kid. They say like you remember, and then you kind of have that filed away in the back of your mind. Like okay, I'll remember that when I'm older,
yeah.
because like what direction. And it's so crazy because since I was 5, I remember being in kindergarten. I said I wanted to become I want to be a kindergarten teacher when I was in kindergarten, and I had that dream up until I was a senior in high school, and we had to start making our decisions of where we would apply or applying for college, all this. And my own senior year English teacher, which English was my favorite subject. I loved like reading and I loved like finding the nuance in different situations. And she said to me, like, don't be a teacher. And two of my really want my sophomore teacher and my senior teachers both said like, oh, don't do it. And they were already tenured teachers. And so
Yeah.
who are they to say? But that left an impression on me. Like if they're in their 50s and they're saying don't do this, oh, it's not going to make you any money. And I was just thinking like I really want to my whole life. I want to do what I love. Kept telling you you're not gonna like this. And I just listened to them. Everyone said just go into business, and I'm really glad I went into marketing because
Yeah.
yeah, with a business degree you really can do anything. And I do have a good background to learn to understand how to market, but it's still transitioning. Like you're trying to do the yoga nutritionist, and I'm still trying to like shake off like okay, I can't just post anything I want, but I kind of have been. But you have to kind of go in line with your brand. So
Yeah.
that's why I created my separate TikTok for
Yeah.
the yoga nutritionist and my own Tina Joy T-Land for whatever I want to talk about. And just yeah.
You're still like you're kind of doing what you always wanted to do. You're just not teaching.
Yeah. Teach. I just always
Yeah,
want to
you're
teach.
teaching
Yeah.
yoga, so it's still
Yeah.
kind of full circle in a way.
It
So
is. It
that's
is.
cool.
Well, I mean, when I was younger, I used to look up to my dance teacher and I was like, "Oh, I want to be a dance teacher." And but the reason I didn't pursue that was because they always said like your like career ends when you're 30. If you get injured, you can't dance anymore. And then
Uh,
when I found yoga, I was like, "Wow, yoga is actually so sustainable and like you can do this. It's like mindful movement and you're most likely not going to get injured if you are careful with
yeah.
what you're doing and you have a personal instructor like me." But or take my class. Anyway, so yeah, and I realized you can do this until you're 80 years old. You can always
Yeah,
have a yoga practice. So that's what really made me think like yoga, kind of slows you down and you realize
it's
it is
good
a
for the
graceful,
body.
mindful movement. It
Yeah.
all came full circle though. You're right.
But another thing I wanted to ask you was because we sort of talked about what you're doing and what I'm doing. It's what we're selling essentially is not a necessity. It's more of a luxury. And when you're selling a luxury, like people aren't going to naturally just come. Like if you open a grocery store or like a gas station or something, people are going to come
Or we
because
said
they
like
need
accountant or
groceries.
doctor. You
Yeah.
immediately have like people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have customers and clients right away, but like what we're doing, it's they're not going to necessarily come naturally to us. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, like, have you found any platforms that have helped you reach more people? Like, what are your favorites?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, I mean, they always like the outreach is TikTok, and so but like TikTok, really at the end of the day, I haven't gotten like TikTok viral. I have like maybe 300 followers on TikTok, whatever. For me, it's kind of like having that like year that I worked in finance really helped me a lot because I started to realize that all of these social media, they're great for outreach, but you're not necessarily going to like, attain or attract like clients or even have like a good customer base off of that. They're more there for the entertainment, right? Entertainment, inspiration, like, all, and even being a podcast, you're going to have to start reaching out to similar brands that are going to work with you or try to sponsor your content. So with YouTube, it's like it's a matter of growth there, and it just takes time to build it up, and it takes a lot of time to edit all of this stuff. This is doesn't editing it and posting it, that's a
Yeah.
job in itself. So for me, it hasn't necessarily been anything because I tried the Yelp advertisements. I have the Google. Actually taught myself on the pandemic all of the metadata for websites
Oh, wow.
through
That's
online
good to know.
Coursera. Yeah, that actually, so knowing like a lot of that is helpful. However, it doesn't necessarily lead you to any more clients. At the end of the day, it really is just about going out and making these calls the way I learned in finance,
Networking.
partnering with businesses, finding out who is the director of the social media of certain brands, and that's a lot of what I'm going to be focusing on over the next month. This is me a big month. We're going into spring and summer now. It's the start of March, so I'm really going to be reaching out to a lot more health and wellness and local yogis, and have a meetup group, yoga wellness nutrition, and going from there. And as you start that way, it will eventually grow. It's bound to grow because one person knows the next person knows the next person, and that's what you're taught in
Yeah.
finance. And finance is not all the math; it's all about connecting and making
Yeah,
connections.
networking.
So,
Networking is
yeah,
if you can network and you know how to network, if you just know how to talk to people, like
yeah,
that's I think that's
that's
huge.
really like that's an invaluable skill. That
Yeah,
really that's. I
I
watch a lot of
do
like
see
Gary V, and he's always has like Gary. I mean,
yeah.
he's yeah,
A lot of people start businesses and kind of like you said, they try and grow a business just on social media alone. And
yeah.
you can't
Well,
like
I tried doing it too for. I mean, this business is now.
I did it with my last business.
Yeah,
I thought Instagram alone was gonna get me there, and it won't.
yeah,
You
it's
have to
not. No,
do
you
other
have to
things.
go out and you have to, even if you don't go out, you have to send the emails, you have to make the calls, you have to figure out like who is else in the industry and how they're pursuing the online content, even, going to that level and like, trying to study the way that they operate their own business. If it's like you want to mirror something that's like a bigger business. So
Yeah.
far I haven't done that. I've been focusing mostly on my own content, but I will be soon because you want to partner up and be on these pages that are have a bigger following, and that's how you get the word out for yourself. And once people recognize you and know who you are, and I'm so glad you like the class, so like that really is
Yeah.
like a green light to keep going. And then maybe you'll tell someone else, and I'll tell someone else like, okay, we're join the Ben's Boss podcast. And I don't know, I don't really know too many people that are actually doing what we're doing,
Yeah.
but it's always good to have a team,
Yeah.
that people doing like-minded things. That's why the finance works so well, those industries, because they have a team of people and they're always congregating together, and they're making these meetings like, let's go out there. And when you have that like support, it's that much more helpful, and you have that like domino effect that you're are more driven to grow. When you don't have that support, you really kind of you that thought kind of gets lost in the back of your mind, and you kind
Yeah.
of just think you can keep going, and you have to just
Like,
keep
oh,
making more
I can
connections.
do this on my own. I don't need help. Like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Support is huge.
Oh
And
yeah, and it's so hard to ask for help, especially like I didn't ask for help for so long, and then like when I started asking for help, when I started realizing like, oh, who was there for me and who wasn't, and who was actually, was saying that they're going to be there for me, and then they weren't there when I needed them. Then I started
yeah,
realizing like I don't really, I have to start. I took a step back and I realized, let me just reset and decide like who I'm going to be devoting my time and energy to and who I'm not.
yeah,
So once I realized that and I had more clarity, I was like, okay, this is what I need to do from here on out. And I made my next steps from there. But yeah.
yeah. That and I wanted to say reviews too, because I remember I
Oh
think we
yeah,
both
thank you.
reached
You
out
you
to each
reviewed
other
the me
before.
after you went to class.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you just ask your reviews are huge for
Oh yeah,
businesses
that's
like
a hundred
ours.
percent. Where
So
every
if you
yeah.
just start by reaching out to like your close people and be like, hey, can you review this? And
Yeah.
then like actual people you don't know,
To
customers,
see.
they'll leave
Yeah.
reviews and they'll see, they'll come, they'll leave their reviews. So reviews are huge.
Oh
Focus
yeah,
on
that's
getting
really
reviews.
like, I always look at reviews too whenever I'm, looking to a new business or an industry that I'm not really well versed in. I always try
Yeah.
to look at the reviews, and they make a difference. So they're really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess just to end it, I want to know what's next for the yoga nutritionist.
The yoga
How
nutritionist
can we
team.
take a class? How do we sign up? What's the deal?
Oh yeah, please just go ahead and join the on Meetup. It's called Yoga Wellness Nutrition. I think you can. I think I sent the link to you. I'm not really too. Yeah, I think I
Yeah,
might have.
I have it.
So that also on theyoganutritionist.com, I have all of my social media links, and I have the next few events coming up. And
You
in
have
2 weeks,
merch
I'll
too,
be.
right?
What
You
was
have
that?
some merch there too, like hats and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I have some merch there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Aspire to inspire. I have a few things.
yeah.
I
So
got that
cute.
quote
They're
from
so
Carly
cute.
Bell. I love Carly Bell. Great things. You have a mind your body journal, and yeah, because that's the slogan: mind your body. And journaling is so good. Take your time out in the day. And definitely, yeah. So definitely, and I'll have theyoganutrition.com. I have the meetup starting summer Sundays, Memorial Day weekend, all the way through Labor Day, weather permitting, in Central Park. Those are going to be free classes,
Mm.
and you can also go ahead and sign up with a subscription based plan coming in a month or so, and maybe a podcast in a few months. But I have to focus on one thing at a time, which is what
Yeah.
yoga taught me. One thing at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
all happen when it's supposed to. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
If you're consistent and you put in the work, it'll happen when it's
Yeah. So one
okay.
thing first. So
Oh,
yoga is definitely the main concern right now, and that's what I want people to start practicing and incorporating into their daily routine if they can, because mind your body. It's so true. Your mind is going to like be we have a million thoughts, but once you connect with your body and go to a gym or just do some yoga and flow 10-15 minutes, you really do feel a reset, and you realize that everything will be okay as long as you keep going. I always say, just keep going, mind your body, just keep going. My two slogans. So
I agree with your
I'm
slogan.
so excited to see your podcast growing, because you started
Yeah.
out with your twin, and then you started doing
And you
the
have a twin.
interviews.
We both have twins too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we both have twins. I know. And it's like, both of our twins are on social media, but I feel like we're also very similar, because we're over here like really putting herself out there. But my twin, she's also kind of like just does it for herself. She posts like, the yoga dancer on us on the YouTube channel, but she's not necessarily doing it because she's not really focused on that right now. But yeah, she likes more of the e-commerce and doing her own thing, but not.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. You have to have a lot of courage, and we're brave. You're very brave for doing this, because it's
Yes,
not easy.
you too. We are both brave.
Yes,
We're both badass,
we are
brave
all
women.
one.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste. Peace and love.
It is
Yeah.
peace and love to you.
Yeah. So I'm going to put your meetup link.
Oh
Um,
yeah, thank you so much. That's great.
yeah,
And
in both the
thanks for
podcast
having
and
me
in
on the
YouTube.
podcast. I
Yes,
really
this was
enjoyed
so good.
this.
I enjoyed talking with you. And I
Yes,
mean, I haven't seen you in so long, so this was great.
I know it's been a while. We really have to get together soon, and yeah, I like
Thank you so
you're
much.
really consistent online, so I really need to take a cue to be a little bit more. But we're getting there.
Yeah, it'll happen. Yeah,
Yes, it
just
will.
do you. That's my motto. Just do you.
It's true. Yeah, just do you. Do what feels right, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for being on the BENSBOSS podcast.
Thank you so much.